You know what made me really sad? I was perusing Reddit because it's easily the best place to find a lot of very specifically anxiously attached people trying to understand the brains of their avoidant partner, or maybe someone that they just broke up with. And the thing is, there's hardly any avoidance on Reddit. There's hardly any avoidance out there who are actually there to like answer your question with any semblance of certainty or personal experience. Because you guessed it, the avoidants are over in their dark rooms, like the stereotype says, and we're just not using our voices, not letting you into our hearts, avoiding at all costs. So, whenever an avoidant person does show up on Reddit, all of the anxious folks are like pouncing, which is again a stereotype. And they're like, oh my god, please tell me, I want to interview you, I want to know you, I want to know your brain. So, I hope to at least be like one more voice for the avoidant, for Team Avoidant. And obviously, what I want to get to in this video is there are some avoidants out there whom I definitely know personally, or I've known some examples of past friends trying to be with people with these extremely avoidant traits. And there's the big sliding scale of how extreme these symptoms show up. So I can't speak for people who are extremely avoidant because obviously those folks are not sitting here making YouTube videos, okay? So I'll do my best to explain to you what was probably going on in their psyche, in their world in general, but I'm only able to go as deep as I've gone with exploring my own attachment style, and, you know, the places in me that have never been so wounded, I simply won't be able to speak for them, but we'll do as much as we can, am I right? I wanted to answer this freaking heartbreaking question, which made me reel for a second because I feel like I've left a lot of people in my life wondering the same thing, and it is this. This is the partner of the avoidant person. Not necessarily even an anxious person, but I think this would leave anyone feeling anxious. So they experienced a breakup with the avoidant person, and it seemed like the avoidant just freaking disappeared. And a lot of people on this thread were asking like, damn, did they even love me at all? Like, was this relationship even real? It's like the avoidant person moved on so cleanly and so quickly that they almost, it's almost like the action itself feels like gaslighting. Like, what was reality? What just freaking happened there? I can feel myself leaving planet Earth right now because I hate talking about emotions so much. So, irony here is I am a coach, actually. I coach people with either repressed or explosive emotions, and you can tell, so I'm very in tune with my body. I've got my tools. That's why I'm even able to talk as much as I do about myself, but I can feel my heart trying so hard to close its doors up right here. It's like, please don't tell people why you are the way you are. So I feel it happening right now, so I'm going to do my best to fight through my own internal symptoms that really help me to parade forth through a lot of life, not all of life, but a lot of life with this kind of facade of being constantly emotionally cool, constantly a little bit aloof, hard to read. I make myself very intentionally hard to read when I have to. It's a protective mechanism. Let's get into that. Did this person love you? I obviously can't answer. I don't know this person. I don't know your relationship. But some of these scenarios were like, you know, I was with this person for years, and then suddenly they just said, you know what, I'm good, ghosted me, and then it was like this impression that this person moved on so quickly that it doesn't seem like they're feeling any pain. Like, they probably didn't even cry for one day after the relationship ended. I need to tell you guys a story, because I did this exact thing. And I don't know if it's often put together that avoidant attachment is actually really, really closely tied in with people pleasing. We actually people please to a T, to the nines, all the time. We're not actually relationally adverse. It's for myself that I am so deeply concerned with how other people see me that I will get completely cut off from myself in order to maintain that image. When I talk about it, I'm actually really, really closely reminded of certain traits of NPD, like just a few of the traits that are in the cluster B personality disorders. My ego is so protective, keeps me feeling so far off human earth. It's very safe up here, that's for sure. And if you've seen my other video about humanizing and kind of putting out the fire on the narrative between how anxious people attract avoidant folks, what I do want you to know is even if this person left you feeling like shit, it's very likely that they didn't plan for it in like a crazy serial killer way, because even people with narcissist personality disorder, with borderline disorder, with histrionic, like all the cluster B stuff, even those people are not masterminds. There is a narrative that helps us to create that mastermind story, because it makes it a lot easier to digest when we're feeling a lot of pain dealing with these folks. I'm also not here to excuse people like myself for how we deal with deep emotions, and especially with endings of relationships. I severely need to clean up my behavior with this, so I am taking a very long break from inviting new people into my life with I'm not chasing anybody right now, and I'm really getting to know a lot of my own red flags, not just like keeping, you know how we're always taught to keep our eyes peeled for red flags with others. I'm like, no. It's me. I people please so fast. So in my coaching, and I only coach people on stuff that I do for myself. I do a lot of parts therapy with myself, and some elements of internal family systems. I have this one personality, this sub-personality, her name is Britta. She looks just like Britta from Community. She's got that vibe. She looks nothing like me, but I wear her, and she comes on in a second whenever I'm with someone whom I sense is emotionally unable to comfort themselves in a way that reminds me of my mom. And so, Freud was right in some regards. He certainly was wrong for many things, but there are so many past partners or deeper looking friendships that I've had in the past that have been right out of some Freudian psychology wound where I was just trying to repair a relationship with my mom. It is the mother wound to a T. So I go into this full mask mode, and the thing with internal family systems and what it teaches us about our subpersonalities, they're not like caricatures, guys. So it's not like I'm faking it. It's not like I'm only sitting there like, ha 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 ha. Like this Britta that I become, she has a full personality. She has certain things she likes, certain things she dislikes, certain things she'll talk about, certain things she won't talk about. She has everything. She is completely multifaceted. She likes certain clothes that other subpersonalities of mine don't like as much, or they're not as comfortable in. So dating someone who is maybe dating you from a different part of their personality, from a protective part, anxious folks, y'all are doing this too. If you're really, really covering your heart, this is not a blame game. This is how people cope. This is trauma. This is the wounds coming out. And this is how we find the safety. We're gonna make like a safe person to become in front of someone who is saying, I want to see everything about you. And, you know, we have those two parts of our brain. We have the one part that says, I really want connection. I really like this person. And they're terrifying. Or this request is terrifying. And so we'll go into coping mode and never underestimate how freaking complex coping mode is. It's like friggin' incredible, dudes. So I dated several people, but especially my most recent polyamorous relationship. was me dating someone from Brita, basically. I've been friends with people from Brita for years and years and years because she is complex. She is interesting, she is vibrant, she's alive, she's her own person. The grounded, rooted part of me, like true integrated Paula, she didn't feel safe enough around these people to show up. However, in certain like little parts, she was showing up. She, like, I always know who I like. I always know, I pick my partners with a lot of intention. I know that once I've chosen you as a focus of interest, that's a real choice because I feel really grounded in that choice. So, little micro moments can be made from like a secure, grounded, safe version of ourselves. We're not always wearing one mask. We're very complicated creatures, y'all. But the vast majority of the time, I was talking to some of my past partners from Brita. So when people were asking on this thread on Reddit, did this person even love me? From that part of themselves, and again, I'm totally assuming I've got the right answer here, yes, I could love as deeply as Brita allowed me for these folks, which maybe wasn't as deeply as I can go with someone who makes me feel safe. But it's like looking at past versions of yourself that weren't as healed as maybe you are now. And you'll look at past versions of yourself and say, oh my God, I can't believe I thought that version of me was happy. Now I look back and I'm like, oh, I was being super fake there. I was only, at school because people said it was the thing to do. But there were parts of you that were genuinely at capacity for happiness. So I wasn't living from my truest place in my heart, but I was doing what was possible for that version of myself who was showing up, trying to be as safe as possible. So the intentions were there. And so what you're seeing in that moment when suddenly this person is cold as ice, turning their back on you and disappearing and seemingly like nothing was touched. Again, speaking from my personal experience, but yeah, it's like your heart really never was touched. Like my heart was never exposed, and so of course I'm not gonna cry about pain because pain was never even accessed, which also means joy was never accessed in the relationship, which also means there's a certain depth that I didn't go to. Here's the thing. I know that probably, the way I said that sounds really heartbreaking. Like that is the thing you didn't want to hear maybe. But what's really important here, to please deeply hear me when I say this, it's not reflective of you. The safety that someone works towards in a relationship is never reflective of the partner. It's up to every individual to speak for themselves. And so it's not your fault if you're seeing someone flick on and off like a light switch. You're seeing a trauma response happen. You're seeing someone wear their protective subpersonality for X amount of days, weeks, months, years, and then suddenly they're at capacity. Their inability to understand that, to receive support for that, or to reflect on the fact that that's going on, that stuff is not your problem. There's nothing else you could have done. There's nothing else you could have done. So did they love you? It's not that it's fake love, it's just that it's protective love. And I'm sure, given safety, they could have love from the different, but it's not like I can feel people watching this possibly going into those really overly romantic, like, oh my God, so it wasn't really them. It wasn't like the real stuff. Again, it's not a comparison game. It's really more about ownership, more about seeing things with as much neutrality as is humanly possible for you. And I know that is hard if you're experiencing this as a very raw pain, if it's very recent, or if it just still friggin' hurts. it was not your fault that this person had this armor. If you also, here's the thing, if you are someone who has been left by an avoidant person, and we're talking like someone real extreme, like has this person ghosted you? Has this person just literally shut the light off on the relationship and they don't talk to you anymore? Did they not give you even a freaking hint of closure? This is where I'm not like that. I don't just disappear. I will tell people like, hey, I can't handle your anger and the way that it shows up. Or like, can we have one last chat? Can we try for closure? I'm super interested in trying for closure, if it's possible with everybody. Sometimes it isn't. But if this person straight up just pieced out on your life with no hint of where they've gone emotionally or physically, that's not your fault at all. And it's also not a place to blame, although I understand that if you have anger, it's also correct and you like don't shut off your anger. But that person has a very low capacity for finding safety. Watch them from the objective trauma lens if you can. They are running all the time from something. That deserves compassion when you can access it. They must be so exhausted. They must have no idea who they really are. They have no capacity to stand still in their presence and say what they want. And that stuff, is just only up to them to heal. So if that's happened to you, don't get in these thought loops of did they love me? What I want you to focus on instead, if you can, is how you are doing. It's probably a way deeper question that the thought loop is actually protecting you from asking yourself. So whenever your capacity is expanded enough, whenever the pain feels just like a little bit less raw, I would rather have you just tell the truth of the experience for you. Like, does it feel like they just abandoned you? Deal with that pain. Just be like, yeah. We don't need to go into semantics, picking apart, defending different attachment styles and their actions. I know that I've been offering that, but if it doesn't feel like you can take it in, then don't take it in. Just be like, I'm fucking pissed, or I'm freaking heartbroken. That was messed up. Deal with that instead, because that's here right now. And again, if you feel like you've been abandoned, you have. Your emotions do not lie about your, truth objectively as to what happened. That's the Rashomon effect. But if you tell me, I feel abandoned, that's true. And deal and soothe that part instead of wondering what the other person's doing, because if they don't have the capacity to slow down for themselves for even a moment, there is absolutely no way they're going to be your support person moving forward unless something dramatically changes and you're aware of that. So if they've really, really just pieced out, please step out of that burning thought loop of did they or did they not love you. Instead, face the truth of where you're at right now with the situation and try saying to yourself in a journal maybe, I feel abandoned. I feel like they didn't care, all of this stuff. That hurt will soften over time. Whether or not it's objectively true, don't even let that enter your mind. It just has to be true for you, and that's the way that you can heal. I will make a video more about healing and soothing the responses that we can have to our wounds when they're flared up, because that's the essence of learning how to sit through and be present with our CPTSD symptoms. And some of those symptoms it feels like it's just ripping your nervous system a new asshole. So it's intense stuff. I fully see you guys, because I'm over here doing very similar healing work for myself. I can tell you it's almost minute by minute practice, but it shouldn't be exhausting. So if you guys are feeling really lost in the process, I'm going to just link all my resources below. And I do offer coaching in this area if it's something that's on your heart and you're feeling maybe like this is chronically a place in your life where you're feeling abandoned, in relationships in general, either with one person or with many people. But I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that I answered some things as well as can be answered when, you know, I'm not in the head of every avoidant person out there on the planet, but I can at least speak to some of our more baseline foundational tricks or ways of being. And I really aim to offer a more compassionate lens so that our tendencies are more easily understood, and where I can help to soothe that really triggered narrative around this idea that we're just these horrible, cold robots that intend to leave you high and dry and kind of lead you around like with a carrot on his stick. So if you have questions for me, or if you have comments about this video, or if you feel like I didn't represent either one, both, or all attachment styles in an accurate way, I would love to hear from you guys and start a discussion. And stay tuned for more videos about CPTSD healing, especially in adults, relationship structures, conscious relationships, and right now my current fling, attachment styles. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you soon.